Hi, I'm Greg.
And I'm Mary, and this is Greg and Mary's RV Adventures. In this video, you'll see our campground that we stayed in at the Roaring River State Park in Cassville, Missouri.
There's actually 3 different campgrounds here. We stayed in campground 1, and we had water and electric. A nice site. It was nice and wide. We like state parks. We keep telling you folks that too.
And I guess the state park is known for its trout fishing, and and you'll see pictures of that in the video. But the origin of this river is actually from a spring, and it is the 20th largest spring in Missouri that fills this Hatchery, the river.
Yep.
And what they say is it produces an average of 20.4 million gallons of water every day for the hatchery.
Right.
That's the beginning of the Roaring River.
Yeah. I think this is the first hatchery we've ever visited. Is that correct, dear?
It's the first one I've ever visited, I know for sure.
It's pretty interesting.
Yeah. And I felt bad for the little fish. I mean, they're just, you'll see pictures of them. I mean, they're just on top of each other.
Hundreds.
In small areas. I feel bad for them. I just kind of wanted to go and free them.
Yeah.
And I guess they do free them. They do release fish every day.
Every evening they release some fish, legal-sized trout, into the river, so they can be caught the next day, and maybe by that evening be in some frying pan somewhere. Who knows? So,
yeah.
Yes. And the other place we went to, there was a museum there in Cassville, a real small museum, but it was interesting. We like going to these local museums, see all the different information and read about the area. It's fascinating. We enjoyed it. So we're easily amused. What can I say?
So you'll see a lot of photos that we took from the museum. Hope you enjoy seeing them all. We enjoy going to the museums, like Greg said. So I think that's it for now. Enjoy the video.
And we'll see you
on the flip side.
Leaving Indigo Sky Casino in eastern Oklahoma, heading to Roaring River in western Missouri, we avoided all the interstates, which I was thankful for because it was still windy, and with tractor trailers blown by and so forth, it was a challenge. Again, just slow down, 55, 60 miles an hour is max. But I was thankful no interstates. 60 through Oklahoma and most of Missouri wasn't too bad. But into Missouri, you get onto 37 and 112. Those roads offered new challenges. Very steep declines, rolling hills, little narrow roads with big gullies alongside. They were challenging. Went through a little town called Cassville, which was fine. Going into Roaring River State Park, there was a very, very steep decline getting into it. And at the bottom of the decline, you had a 90-degree turn into the state park. I was glad to get to our site and park the RV and took a little walk to unwind my nerves.
Roaring River State Park is unique on so many levels. With a deep, narrow valley surrounded by a striking and rugged landscape, Roaring River State Park is one of Missouri's most popular state parks. Located in the southwest Ozark Hills, Roaring River State Park is one of the 3 state parks stocked with rainbow trout. The scenic setting makes everything more fun. The park has 7 hiking trails, picnic tables for leisurely lunch, and a nature center to learn about the park. It also has campgrounds, both basic campsites and those with water and electric hookups.
As you can see here, the campground is nestled between two tall ridges, which have made it very quiet and peaceful and scenic, but cell phone and internet reception was horrible. So luckily we managed somehow. There's our site there on the right hand side. Our site was fairly level, easy to level out. We had water and electric. Nice site, nice. Come on, it's a beautiful day. Let's go on this. It's a 1 mile hike. Come on, join me. Across the creek. Do you think we ought to bring them along with us?
Yeah, let's take them too.
All right, I'll get them. Don't make any noise, scare the animals. When I mentioned it was a beautiful day, I was just talking about the sunshine. It was pretty chilly, that's why we have sweatshirts and tassel caps on, but it was still a nice hike.
This was the easy part of the hike. The woods are finally coming alive. The trees are just starting to get little blossoms on. Really pretty. Roaring River is a tributary of the White River, which has cut into the flat plateau, creating deep valleys and exposing an unusual variety of rock formation. As the river cuts through the plateau, it exposes the different layers of sediment, including shale, limestone, dolomite, and chert. Roaring River State Park is one of only a few places in Missouri where visitors can see such a variety of rock formations within such a small area.
That huffing and puffing you hear is not a train. It's Mary and I. As Mary and I stopped to take our break, I looked across at the hillside on the other side, and I saw an opening there with a sign. So I walked over quickly to look what it was. As I approached the sign, it was a cave, and a little cave, and a big old turkey vulture came out. So I quickly retreated.
at the end. Fishing is one of the favorite pastimes at Roaring River State Park, which has been considered one of the premier rainbow trout fishing areas in the Midwest. The river is stocked daily through the regular fishing season from March the 1st through October the 31st, ensuring the possibility of catching that trout that will be the subject of many fond stories.
This section of the river is pretty interesting. They have sections where you can use bait. They have sections where you can use artificial lures. There are sections where you can fly fish only. And there are sections where you have to catch and release. Pretty unique. As we were walking along the river, Mary and I bumped into another couple about our age. They were fishing, and she was catching, he wasn't. And we had a little conversation, and the fella asked if we stopped up to see the hatchery yet, and we said no, we didn't know there was one, so he directed it to us. We're sure glad he told us about this. It was pretty interesting. We learned that the hatchery starts with fingerlings, and they feed them and grow them until they're legal size for fishing, and then every day they release some of the trout into the river for fishermen the next day. Some of the trout were quite big, bigger than anyone I ever caught. Does anyone know the species of the blue trout, or is that just a freak of nature? He was pretty. We walked up toward the origin of the Roaring River, this cave. We were fascinated by the number of trout, large trout, lunkers, 2 feet plus, that were swimming in the waters between that and the hatchery. When we visit these small communities, Mary and I enjoy going to the local museums. There's quite a collection of artifacts and history of that area, things that we were completely ignorant of. Another facet I like is they usually have a section on the military men from World War II, World War I, etc. And both Mary's dad and my dad served in World War II, so I always like thumbing through the register to see if any were with my dad's unit or on my father-in-law's ship.
It's still fascinating to me to know that women were able to cook and prepare food using these devices. It's mind-blowing to me. I'm not sure if I would be able to bake and cook using these utensils.
Mary's developing a fascination with cowboy boots. I don't know about that girl.
The Trail of Tears was the forced displacement of approximately 60,000 people from the 5 civilized tribes between 1830 and 1850. As part of the Indian removal, members of the Cherokee, Muskogee, Seminole, Chickasaw, and Choctaw nations were forcibly removed from their ancestral homelands in the southeastern United States to newly designated Indian Territory west of the Mississippi River.
Jean Wallace, or the Mountain Maid as she was known, was a fascinating character that had a sixth sense that helped people find things and learn things about their future. She lived in Cassville for 48 years, died tragically when her cabin burnt down in 1940. She did lead a fascinating life. If you're interested, I'd look her up. From her childhood till the day she died, it was quite fascinating. I told Mary these were boots from Bigfoot, so she had to take pictures of them. Take 5. Time for Will Rogers' segment. I'm going to be very careful to do this. That is my last take. Early years. Will Rogers was born on November 4th, 1879. His parents, Clem and Mary Rogers, lived on a ranch. At a very young age, perhaps age 4, Will's father put him on a horse. He started learning how to ride a horse, and around the same time, a cowboy named Dan Walker started teaching Will rope tricks. Over the next 25 years, Will worked on his rope tricks, became pretty proficient with it. And in South Africa, he joined the Texas Jacks Wild West show performing rope tricks. He performed in circuses in New Zealand, and Australia before he returned to the United States. When he was in the States while performing at Madison Square Garden, a rowdy steer broke loose and went into the stands and terrified the fans. Will calmly roped the steer and pulled him back into the arena. Newspapers heralded his heroism in the first of an onslaught of publicity that would skyrocket his career. Vaudeville at the time was very popular, and soon he landed a position as a talented roper, and he was fitted with a horse and had special shoes and everything made. He traveled throughout the country by train, earning between $200 and $300 a week, which I'm guessing was a lot of money back then. In New York, while performing, he accidentally broke the silence of his act when a miscue snagged his cowboy boot. Will proclaimed, "Oops, I got all my legs through but one." The audience howled. Will was humiliated, thinking that he screwed up. But his stage manager came up and explained to Will that the laughter was a compliment. The change was explosive. In humble, down-home drawls, Will Rogers began explaining his act, and then expanded into political commentary and jokes. "All I know is what I read in the papers" became his trademark. And that was the launch of Will into many, many different art forms. It made him the huge success that he was. So I hope you enjoyed that. Each week, we hope to bring you a little bit more about his background as he developed into a movie star and etc. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned because Mary and I are going to have our quotes of the week from Will Rogers. Oops, thanks again. Almost got through it without even screwing up. As promised, time for the quotes of the week. Mine is from the government and politics. I know it's a touchy subject, but I think this is a good one. If by some divine act of providence we could get rid of both parties and hire some good men, like any other good business does, that would be sitting pretty. Think about it. I think we're pretty much all in agreement with that. Pass the book on to Mary.
And my quote for this week is a little different. It's under everyday life. And I kind of chose this because as we're traveling around and touring, we've been going to a lot of local museums.
Yeah.
And just learning a lot about the places that we are visiting. One of his quotes, "You would be surprised what there is to see in this great country within 200 miles of where any of us live." I don't care what state or what town, and I truly believe that. So when you get a chance, look within 200 miles of where you live and see what's there, what's interesting there. And I think you'll be surprised.
You're rambling on, dear.
Okay, I'll stop. And that's it for the quote of the week. Quotes of the week, information about Will Rogers, and hopefully you enjoyed the video as much as we enjoy.
When I talk that much, you just yell at me all the time.
As much as we enjoyed making it. See you
Yes.
next week. See you on the
Flip side. No, this is the flip side. See you next week.
See you next week.